So I just had a student and he had been given an improvisation assignment this week, and it was one called theme and variation. Now, theme and variation is a type of composition where you take a simple theme and you elaborate on it and you maybe restate that theme with a little bit more variety, a little more spice notes in there to make it interesting. And it still sounds like the same thing. Mozart did a theme and variations on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star that most people are familiar with. And anyway, the one I did with my student today was Minecraft. So everyone knows Minecraft who has kids of that age. Well, maybe not everybody, but a lot of kids play Minecraft. It is considered one of the more educational video games out there, and even schools use it. But here's the main theme. I'll turn on my piano. It's just very simple. I'm holding down my pedal. And so when you have very wee beginner students, oh, this is such an easy one to teach them. It's just black keys. Black keys are so easy to find on the piano with that black and white layout. It's so easy. I just have them do it with 5 fingers. It's a little bit of a stretch. So if it's, I also have them do it this way, sometimes for really wee beginners. Oh, sorry. But this student, that's how I have my very wee beginners do it. Maybe it's their first or second lesson. We can even do this one then. Because they know it, their ears know the sound of it. No sheet music is needed. They can just do that by ear, okay? And then what I do for the intermediate students is I say, okay, let's do a theme and variation on Minecraft. So before demonstrating to them, I say, I'm going to give you 1 minute on my timer. I'm going to put my phone on a timer, and you're going to improvise and try to vary that melody a little bit, okay? You're going to try to improvise around that theme. You can use all the black keys. I promise you they'll all work and sound good. So I can kind of keep the focus on the black keys. And then, so my student tonight said, okay, all right. So I put the timer on, and I didn't know what I'd get when he came back. But when he came back, I muted him in the Zoom lesson so he could work on this. And then when he came back, I said, okay, what'd you come up with? He came up with this. Actually, I think that's what it was. And I was like, that's cool. It might have even been. It's much easier to do with 2 hands. But he was doing it with 1 hand. Anyway, it was like that. And I said, cool, thumbs up, because that is what we call, new term today, melodic variation. You just did melodic variation. And that is an improvisational technique, okay? That's also how composers arrive at what we call a variation on a theme. We just kind of embellish the melody a little bit. And yeah, it was almost like this, right? But it was different. It was different with those first few notes, okay? Actually, I think his really was like that, okay? I said, okay, that's great. And he's still playing that. So I said, okay, that's great. Can we vary the bass a little bit? The bass is what the left hand plays. The low notes, you know, those are the bass notes, okay? So I was like, let's vary the bass notes. So here's some options. You can try anything in the F sharp major scale, because this is in G. It's really in a pentatonic key. But I said experiment with the notes in the F sharp major scale, which I knew he already knew because he's an intermediate student and my students know scales. This is the F sharp major scale. So I said try experimenting with those notes in your bass and see which ones sound good. Well, he came back after 1 minute and he really wasn't super creative, but he did at least vary the bass note, and instead of G flat, he did this with a 5 in the middle. So I call this a 1-5-1 voicing in the left hand. We leave out the middle note of the 3 of the chord because it sounds muddy. So he did this, and he just came back and said, was, you know, switching octaves. I was like, okay, that's a start. Okay, well, that's a start. And he could always come back to home, which is G flat. And he also did something nice. He did something like that up high. And I was like, oh, I like that. That's really nice. Okay, so in Minecraft, what you can do is introduce the theme, and then you say, all right, kid, you know, student, go ahead and improvise on the black keys after you've stated that theme a couple times. Okay, so we're going to open with a very simple theme, unaltered in any way, and then we're going to vary it. So what you can come up with later is something, and then I show them what I would do with it, you know, if I'm just improvising. And right now, I'm just improvising. I'm not really, I have messed around with this before, but this is not planned. So nothing I'm doing is really planned. Okay. All right. So little bluesy scale in there. You can always add all the black keys plus A makes up an E flat blues scale. So try some blue notes. Maybe that doesn't work, but you can try. Oh, that didn't work. So that's how we, you know, mistakes are kind of the spice of life in improvisation. That's how you determine what works and what doesn't, is a trial and error. And I think we lose a lot of that in piano teaching because it's all about following a script, following directions, reading exactly what's on that page with no freedom to create within that framework. And I think it's really important that you allow students the freedom to explore this, you know, this whole instrument. Okay. There's so much you can do besides what's on the page. Okay. And unless it's Beethoven or a classical composer, yeah, I mean, in that case, you want to do pretty much what's on the page, okay, and what that composer intended. So you honor the integrity of the piece. You honor their artistic intent with that piece. But, you know, there's also some freedom to create. There's especially some freedom to create and improvise in pop music, anything popular, movie songs, songs from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, pop songs, okay? We call it pop music. Beatles, anything from the Beatles on up to Maroon 5 and Bruno Mars and whatever is going on today. Okay, so you should have some more freedom with those things, as well as in jazz, in country. You should have a lot of freedom to create within that basic framework of the song. So, improvisation on Minecraft is a great idea. I suggest you try it with your students. There were some ideas. Hopefully you can have some fun with your students doing the same thing. Ciao.